Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and I've been tagged. I must learn to run faster away from these people. Who was it? It was Bat Josh, fellow YouTuber, all-rounder Bat Fiend, who reviews all the Bat books, among other things, on his channel. I'll put a link to his channel down below if you're not already subscribed. If you've not already checked him out, I would thoroughly recommend you do. And the tag is your to-read pile. So I'm guessing this isn't like your single issues, it's more to do with your graphic novels. And the problem I have is kind of twofold. One, I buy a lot of graphic novels, and two, I kind of read my graphic novels much like I watch my TV shows. I have a lot on the go at the same time. I won't just read, watch a book or a TV series till I finish the season. I will watch bits here and I'll read bits here and I'll read bits there and I'll watch bits there, and that's why the pile gets bigger. Oh my god, and bigger. So this is my to read pile, which is nestled usually on my bedside cabinet, which I read before I go to bed. So, what is on that list? Let me just put that to one side. The first one actually isn't a graphic novel, but it is certainly it's certainly comic related, and that's this book, the 10-Cent Plague, which is all to do with the kind of comic book code and everything that came before that, with that awful man Wortham who said that comics were evil. I've had this for ages, and I don't often get the time to actually read proper prose books. What with my weekly books, my back issues that I pull out which I read, and obviously all these graphic novels, that I don't generally have the time to read a proper prose book, which is why I'm not very far through this. But it is a really interesting read about how all the chaos and the misinformation that was fed out about comic books back in the 1950s. I would highly recommend you pick this up and read it faster than I do. On to some graphic novels now. I've got Crisis on Multiple Earths. This is volume 2. This was in a sale box. I got it for about £2 or £3. It's kind of like the fun Silver Agey stories that the Earth 1 and Earth 2 crossed over, and sometimes there was more Earths, and basically it's kind of building up to obviously Infinite Crisis on Multiple Earths. So it's fun read, it's nothing too deep, it's sometimes quite silly, but it's something easy to read when I go to bed. Another more prosy novel, but I bought this in a sale. I found the Origins of Marvel Comics by Stan Lee. Basically the story of how he created a great many of his comic book creations, and who he worked with and how they were received. Just a really interesting kind of origins of Marvel Comics right at the very beginning. Again, I'm not very far the way through that because it's a prose book. Now, my god, I've had this for so long. See, this is the problem. I buy more graphic novels, and not saying that these are good, but the others seem more exciting because they're new, they're brand new, and I must play with those. So I've had the first volume of David Sim's Cerebus for God knows how long, and it keeps kind of getting put to the bottom of the pile. Again, there's comic book kind of bookmark in there to show me where I'm up to, but I hopefully will get to the end of that sometime in the near future. Something, I'll show these both at once. I've only just picked these, well, I say I've only just picked these up. My other half, my partner, bought me these. Unfortunately, they are not the hardback editions. We couldn't find them. They are just ridiculously expensive now because they have stopped printing them. But it's volume 3 and volume 4 of B.P.R.D. These lovely big books. I just love this series. It's so well told. It's kind of like a horror, creepy, supernatural storyline, and full of like demons and ghosts and monsters, and it's just told so well by like Mike Mignola, and the artwork by John Arcudi and Guy Davis, and who else? We got Dave Stewart as well in these. Just such good reads, and I can't believe it took me quite a while to even pick up the first one of these, but when I did, I completely immersed myself in it, and it was just fantastic that I just had to have the rest. So that's B.P.R.D. These are all the Plague of Frogs storylines. Another kind of double hitter here from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. It's their Criminal series. This is volume 3 and volume 4, so we've got The Dead and the Dying and Bad Night. My comic book guy was always saying, you know, because he'd seen me have Fatale and now the Fade Out on my comic book pull list, he was like, have you read these? And if you haven't, why the hell not? So of course I got roped into buying more of their stuff, but my god, he's right, these books are so good. More crime noir from Brubaker and Phillips, beautifully written and drawn, really evoking the times that they are portraying, so a lot of fun reading material there. We go on. This is a kind of Marvel Premier Classic. Again, it was just it was in a sale bin, so I thought I'd pick it up. It's the Cloak and Dagger Crime and Punishment series. This collects a lot of the Peter Parker run. What else have we got? We've got a Marvel Team Up Annual in there. We've got a Marvel Fanfare in there. It basically collects a lot of the stories that has Cloak and Dagger in it. And I do remember them from my youth. I used to read those stories and really enjoy these two characters, probably because I was a teenager at the time I was reading them, and kind of really identified in a way them being kind of outsiders and stuff like that. So yes, I'm working my way through that. Again, another little bookmark in there showing where I'm up to. Talking about graphic novels, and I keep buying them and buying them. I've just bought 2 more. I bought the second book in the Mind Management series. This one's The Futurist. Again, love the first one. I saw these in Dr. Monkeybot's, I think it was a Christmas video, kind of comic book haul. He was showing off his presents, and he showed a lot of these off, and they are so well priced. I mean, these are hardbacks, and they only cost here about £12, which is just like an incredible steal. You're spending that much for a Marvel trade, which has got just as many issues inside them, and they're like the floppy versions, they're not even hardback. So great value from these Dark Horse comics, but again, a series I thoroughly recommend you read. The other brand new book I bought, it's not often, in fact I don't think I ever have, kind of what people call it, double dipping, I think people call it, on comic books. If I've already bought the singles, the likelihood I'm going to buy it in a trade or a hardback is slim to none. But this, what I'm about to show you, I just had to have. It's one of my favourite current titles, and just having the deluxe edition of this, so it's a larger book, nicely bound in hardback from Image. It is, of course, Barbier and Mooneyham's 5 Ghosts. I've had a flick through these because it says it's got kind of extra, never seen before extras in here. I don't actually see that many. There's a few sketches and commissioned art in the back. I think there is an extra page in each of the comic books. They've made like a kind of film poster, not just the cover but the film poster. Maybe it was the variant covers, I'm not sure, but there isn't that great a many extras in this, but still it was 5 ghosts, and I love 5 ghosts. I often get bought some kind of rather, not weird things, but presents from friends who think this kind of stuff will appeal to me, and I'm not saying it hasn't. It's just something I'm not very familiar with, but I did get bought this Alter Ego, which is a compilation of the best of a comics fanzine, which I presume came out, does it say, back in, yeah, the 60s and 70s. This was a fanzine, I guess it was a precursor to the likes of Wizard and that ilk. Which had people writing articles and some sketches and stuff like that, and it was all put like in a fanzine for people to buy back then, and it's all collected in this overlarge like floppy trade back kind of thing. I really just skim this, but I will obviously eventually get round to reading it more in depth. Another one that I picked up in a sale bin but haven't really had the chance to read yet. I've read a little bit, hence again there's a bookmark sticking out. It is American Splendor by Harvey P.K.R, and it's our movie year. I've seen the movie, it's fantastic. It's something that I recommend you go out and watch, and this is clearly the kind of graphic novel comic book that it's based. It based the life of the duration of the film. God, I'm just talking nonsense there. You get what I mean. But yes, that's another one that's on my pile to read. Jack Kirby, this is by Image, isn't it? They collected the first 6 issues of his Silver Star run. It's okay. This is... I said this before, I think I said this yesterday or the day before in my comic book haul video when I was talking about Captain Victory and the Galactic Rangers. These were kind of like when I personally feel Jack Kirby had already hit his peak, and they weren't brilliant. There was still that flair of Kirby and his great artwork and style, but the kind of stories left just a little bit, yeah. I've not really actually got that far left to finish with that, but a nice big oversized book with some great fun Jack Kirby artwork in there. So that's Jack Kirby's Silver Star. And finally, one of those kind of coffee book table. Again, I think this was bought for me as a present. This is Superheroes, Capes, Cowls and the Creation of Comic Book Culture. 304 pages in full colour, and it just basically again goes through the whole history of comics and how they've evolved over the years. It's always nice to kind of dip in and out of this rather than kind of read it from start to finish, which kind of tends to be a bit more laborious. I kind of like flick through it and something catches my eye, I'll read that kind of segment of the book, but as a whole I've not yet got round to it. So that's me done. That's my quite hefty to read pile. How my bedside cabinet holds all these without crushing underneath, I've no idea. So that's it, it's done. I don't honestly know who's done this and who hasn't done this, so I'm giving it an open free-for-all. If you'd like to show us what's on your to read pile, feel free, go ahead. I'd love to see what else is on people's bedside cabinets, bookcases, gathering dust, waiting to be read. Thank you for watching this one. Thank you to Bat Josh for tagging me. Until next time, bye bye.